Hello, I'm Deborah Sword. The tagline of Conflict Owner's Manual is helping you use the conflict competencies you already have. You see it in the header of this podcast and on my website. How do I know you already have conflict competencies? Well, you're alive, and life is where we get stress tested. One of my stress tests came when I was in my little plastic kayak in the middle of a lake, just as a vicious storm roared in over a mountain pass. There were ferocious winds, beating rain on me from every side. I paddled fast towards the shore, but mountain lakes don't have continuous shorelines. They have ragged cliffs going down into the lake. I'd be blown against the cliff unless I found a beach. For half an hour, I fought to keep the kayak nose from ditching into the troughs and the gunnel from being swamped while the wind tossed me farther away from the marina. Finally, I saw a small beach ahead and paddled a ferry stroke towards it. I crashed on the beach, but was pulled right back by the next wave. My paddle broke on the rocks. When the next wave deposited me on the beach, I threw myself out of the kayak, leaving it to be battered between rocks and waves. When the ground was finally under me at last, then I started to shake. In the time I didn't know if I would make it to shore or drown, I talked aloud. I believe you can do this, Deborah. You got this. You can ride this wave. This trough won't trap you in a hole. I convinced myself to believe I'd survive with a story to tell. I could have told myself, you're going to die, or you can't do this. I might have survived anyway. I'm not going to repeat the experience to find out how it ends. I convinced myself to believe I'm a better, stronger, more competent kayaker at a time when I most needed to believe that. And it kept me brave enough to face my stress test. This matters to you in your conflicts in two ways. First, conflict competence exists on a continuum. At one end, you're a conflict superstar. You have the right skills, you analyze the conflict brilliantly, you apply the right techniques to the context, and you adapt as the conflict changes, which it will do. At the other end, you're a conflict novice. You aren't really sure what the conflict is about. You wish you knew what technique fit the context, but you use the same familiar strategy each time. On the continuum between conflict superstar and conflict novice is where you pin your belief about your skills and your capacity to learn more. What you believe influences and informs where you are on the continuum, and what you believe about your ability to learn more about conflict competence. Essentially, it's what you tell yourself is true. The second way, conflict competence is about the quality of your relationships. Stresses are hard on relationships, and stresses are growth opportunities. Believing your capacity to develop more skills can build trust and empathy in your relationships. Your efforts to improve your conflict competencies gets noticed. People will support your efforts with empathy and tell you stories of how they met their stress tests. When you believe you already have skills, your belief carries you to improve your conflict competencies. Imagine, for example, that you're really shy, but you smile and say hello to a new neighbor, and soon you're chatting. A skill you believed you have strengthens with use. A belief in yourself in one area spills into other areas. You believe you have the skills, so you use the skills you have, which improves the skills you have because you believe you can. I believed I could kayak well enough to survive, so I kept paddling to survive. And I continue to work on my skills because I believe I can improve. In the episode show notes, I put links to research about what is essentially a self-reinforcing cycle. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe to our podcast, like it, share it, tell others, leave comments, and ask good questions. We look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.